Violet Teague is the most amazing lady. She was an international artist living in Melbourne, and her sister Una came up in 1932 with her friend Jessie Trail, who's also an artist, and they came up and went out to Hermannsburg, and the spare bedroom was in Pastor Albrecht's house. So he told them how terrible the drought was. His own little girl Helen, aged 4, weighed less than she did when she was 2, and 85% of the babies were dying, and a lot of the adults had scurvy and other skin diseases and sicknesses through lack of vitamins. Because of the drought, there were no native fruits or roots, or all the kangaroos were dead, their favourite food. So they might have to close Hermannsburg. So these two ladies went back, and Una told her sister Violet, and Violet was so devastated. They were both worldwide travellers, Violet, Una and Jessie, and they'd helped Indigenous people in different countries. And Violet decided that it was time the whole of Australia took a hand in this, and she hired a taxi. The driver was only a boy of 19, and they came up in a Studebaker, her and Una, all the way from Melbourne to Hermannsburg. And when you think of it, was a colossal drive. I mean, just north of Horseshoe Bend, you crossed the Fink 5 times. And my mother-in-law often told me how terrible it was. She had gone down and come back. The father had bought the first vehicle to come up to Alice Springs, and how terrible it was crossing those Fink crossings. There's this wide stanza how this fellow got on who wasn't a bushman. He was from the southern states. Anyway, they got there and stayed with Pastor Albrecht, and he took them out to Aprilia Springs, these beautiful springs 7 kilometres away, which are up on a hill, and when you're up there you can see the mission plane down below, so you know the water's got to flow down. But the Lutheran board were afraid that it wouldn't work, and there would be a lot of expense and it might not work, and they preferred these old retired drillers to go there. But they kept drilling and getting salt water. It was the same I was on Mount Swan, and Martin and their family had put 36 bores down for 6 good ones, and it's the same. It was the same on Hermannsburg. They put the bores down, and the water might be good to start with, and then it would get too salty. Anyway, Pastor Albrecht got Albert and Majera to be these ladies' camel driver and cook and guide and houseboy, and he took them out around, and Violet painted the landscapes and people, and then they went all the way back in their taxi and to Melbourne, and she displayed and exhibited her paintings and asked 100 people in the Victorian Artists Society to donate 1 painting each, and several painters donated more, including Violet, of course, and they raised £2,000. She needed 3,000, and so then she asked the Argus newspaper in Melbourne and the Adelaide Advertiser to have appeals, and there were the most amazing number of letters in the paper. People had been to Hermannsburg and appreciated it, and one fellow had never been to Hermannsburg, but he'd been in World War I in the army in Cairo in Egypt, and said he realised what a drink of clear water would mean. And people donated 5 shillings, and but all these amounts mounted up, and 5 shillings then I suppose would be $50 or $100 now. And so they got the money, and the Aboriginals started to dig this trench all by hand with shovels. They started in December 1934, the hottest month of the year, and so they'd work by night time and dug, but they had fires on each side of the trench and dug this trench, and they got through on the last day of September 1935.